are you working that hard because it's lighting you up, or is there an idea in your head that you have to hustle and grind to burnout for you to then be successful? Because it doesn't have to be that way. Back to learned belief that, but it's figuring out, are you punishing yourself in a way because you think you have to reach that success, or is it more so that you genuinely are enjoying it?
Another piece of this puzzle that you had mentioned a couple of days ago when we were chatting that I want you to bring up, because I think it's so powerful, is this misconception or notion that balance is the goal. I love that you brought this up, because I think you're right. I don't think this is talked about in the right way. I think it's being promoted and possibly as a way to push an agenda or to push guilt or shame. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on balance, what the realities are of that.
My feelings of balance are kind of intense. I think that balance is BS. And I feel like in more recent, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's always been a thing. Maybe it's just talked about more, but I feel like a lot of people are talking about how to have balance in your life and how to have a work-life balance, how to balance as a mother. There's just been a lot of talk about it. I've noticed it, at least. And I definitely was thinking there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't switch gears, that I couldn't do everything, and I couldn't make everyone happy. And like, a lot of this was all in my head. This is the reality I was creating in my head. It's not that anyone said it to me or it was fact. It was this pressure I was putting on myself that what a perfect mother looked like, what a perfect friend, a family member, daughter, like fiance, all of that. I was creating this narrative of how I had to show up. And then within all of that, find time for me. And I thought that I had to juggle all of that. And I quickly learned, I don't think that is possible at all. And I think if we're trying to constantly do everything at once, you're going to burn yourself out. And what the reality became true for me was I put myself last on that pedestal, and I was valuing myself here, and I was prioritizing everything else. And you can't function like that. You cannot go burnout. And I know that's something that we all know, like fill your cup first, put your air mask on. Like, I know that's talked about, but I think it's easy to forget that when you feel like you should have work-play balance or whatever that looks like in your life. And I think that, I don't know, I guess I'm still trying. I think it's just honoring, like, and prioritizing things and knowing, at least for me as a mom, I know I'm always there for Brixton, and I know I'm always doing my best. That's what I talked about earlier, of just remind myself, I know I'm going to do my best. I know that there will be lessons I learned that I can apply later to tweak and change if I need to. But my intention is to be the best I can be in that moment. And it's also prioritizing things. And I think most of all, making sure I'm making time for myself. And that looks different though. Like sometimes it does look like I need to stay up late working because I know my future self will be thankful that I didn't put that off. And I'm okay with struggling in the morning when I open, and that's the best mom I can be in that moment. I'm like, do you want scrambled eggs? Like, I might be out of it, but I'm still showing up as the best version of myself. So it's not, you can't do everything all the time. And have this like fairy tale movie life. I just don't, it's okay. It's okay is what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Thank you for spreading that message, because I am starting to understand this is like cultural brainwashing to put that kind of pressure on women, especially because I found this to be really interesting was when the workforce was developed. It was developed around the hormone cycles of men because that's who was creating the workforce. And it didn't take into account how different the rhythm of a woman is. And I'm just now starting to learn these things. And now it makes sense why I burnt out and a few times. And I think kind of what I've landed on is, like you were saying, it ends up being seasons. You're going to go through different seasons in your journey, and there's going to be a time to hustle just as part of it.
Yes.
I mean, and it can be fun too. I've enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. But then I think where the balance, there's some opportunity to play with is, are you counteracting that hustle with like deep rest and that self-care and love? And I think that's where the opportunity is, for at least for me, for sure.
I go specifically with work or career wise, whether that's entrepreneurship or 9 to 5, whatever that looks like. I think you brought up a really great point to explain what I was trying to say earlier in a better way, is that if you're asking yourself, like, some people genuinely love to work. I know you love to work, and there's periods of time. I know I love to work. It lights me up.
Yeah.
It lights this fire in me, and it makes me happy. And I think that's sometimes what we hear is with the balance of, well, you have to make time for relaxed time, or you have to relax, you're working too hard or you're doing too much. And I think that might be true for them, but where you're at, maybe that is lighting you up, that you're like, wow, I'm happy working. I'm happy doing this. And that also could look like, with what the point you brought is, are you working that hard because it's lighting you up? Or is there an idea in your head that you have to hustle and grind to burnout for you to then be successful? Because it doesn't have to be that way. That's a learned belief. But it's figuring out, are you punishing yourself in a way because you think you have to reach that success? Or is it more so that you genuinely are enjoying it? And then if it's the other one where you think that that's what you need to do, then that's where it's like, it's putting in time to make sure you're honoring yourself and like working and doing what you need to do, but also asking yourself, like, am I ignoring my needs? Like, it could be basic needs, like showering and doing the things for you because you think you just have to keep going.
Know. Yeah. So I guess it just boils down to like awareness and inquiry of what are our motivations, like what is driving us, and then making peace with what, again, coming back to the beginning of the conversation, making peace with what is. And you guys were allowed to do this messy. Like I think that's the biggest thing both of us are trying to broadcast here is nobody has it figured out. The big giant companies that we think have it all together, no, there's a big mess behind the scenes because it's humans. We're humans and we make mistakes, and it just is what it is. But I think what I'm hearing you say is to shift the mentality of that I'm doing something wrong or carrying guilt and shame to, I am amazing. I'm going to celebrate myself. I'm going to be so proud of every little thing that I do that is moving me towards this beautiful creation of life that I am choosing. And then again, like very different motivations and very different life experience. And I think very different outcome.